Around 8 years ago, my brother in law from Peru came to visit us here in the United States. It was his first visit to the USA, and he had the goal of learning to speak some English. He stayed for a month, and I am sad to report that he didn't make very much progress. And to this day, he still hasn't, even though he has visited a bunch of times. The highlight of that first trip was when he pulled me aside and told me that he came up with a formula for speaking English. Adam, he said, I have it all figured out. All that you have to do is drop the last letter off of a Spanish word to get an English word. I tried to fight back a smile. Then I patted him on the shoulder and did what any good brother in law would do. I said, Yes, Pablo, that is exactly right. Just do that and you will be fine. I knew that we were in for some laughs. The word for cash in most of Peru is efectivo. I don't know why that is the word, but it is. It can also mean effective, depending on the context. One day we were in a grocery store and Pablo wanted to buy his own food and practice his English. He pushed his cart up to the register. The lady working the register rung up his items. And then, as is natural, she asked how he'd like to pay. At first, he had a confused look on his face as he didn't catch what she was asking. But after a moment's thought, it became clear to him and he flashed a satisfied little smirk. He even looked over at his wife and gave her a confident little nod, as if to say, Don't you worry about a thing. I have this under control. Pablo looked back at the cashier and proudly said, I pay effective, and reached for his wallet. Unfortunately, the cashier had no idea what he was talking about, and she proceeded to do what any good American would do in this situation. She spoke more slowly and repeated the question, How are you going to pay? This threw Pablo for a loop, but after a moment's thought, he answered in the same slow and drawn-out way, I pay effective. Finally, my wife had to jump in and intervene for the sake of keeping things moving along. This reminds me of an exchange from when I had just moved to Peru for the first time. I was a college student. I was a double major in business and Spanish. I could write essays in Spanish. I could read classical literature in Spanish, but I could barely speak a lick. At that time, we were in the mining business, and my dad had a local business partner who owned a garage in Cajamarca, Peru. The garage did maintenance on pickup trucks owned by the big old gold mine in town, Minera Yanacocha. My dad thought it would be cool for me to work as an auto mechanic in Peru while I was on summer break. And it was cool. Very cool. The only problem was that I had no idea what anybody was talking about. That, and I had no idea how to work on cars. Thankfully, my dad negotiated a deal whereby I would be the lowest paid employee in the shop. And that was fair because I was by far the worst worker. All of the guys there would be jabbering away all day, and for the first couple of months, I truly could not make heads or tails of what they were talking about. One day, the supervisor was going to work on an off-site project, and he decided to take me with him. He pulled his car up and yelled to me, Adam, súbete. Finally, something I could understand. Subir, to climb. So I looked at the car and wondered why he was telling me to climb. I didn't know at the time that subir could also mean climb in. I stood there totally dumbfounded. He started to lose his cool because he was in a hurry and wanted to get to work. He started pointing at the car and shouting at me, Súbete, súbete, súbete. I walked up to the car because I knew I was supposed to do something. I touched the roof of the car and questioned, Subir? No, aquí. He pointed inside the car. And that was when I learned that subir wasn't only to climb. It could also mean to get in. Here is the point of all this. There is no way to do or learn anything new without making a darn fool out of yourself. There just isn't. I walked into so many grocery stores in Peru where everybody in the store stopped to see what I was going to say. And in front of everybody, I just totally butchered the language. But eventually, you get immune to embarrassment. And eventually, you improve. If you are thinking about starting something new sometime soon, be it a new language or some new venture, just know you are going to stink in the beginning. And it will be embarrassing. But keep going anyways. And for posterity, this is day 4 of 1,000 straight days of writing an article. I hope that you have a truly blessed day.